Hey guys, I'm back in Korea, back in Seattle, where it's freezing. It's 90 degrees in Korea. Now I'm coming back and it's like 70. But anyways, I didn't get corona, had a great time, but it feels good to be back home, you know? What doesn't feel good though is knowing that you're back in the States when you see so many people without masks. Guys, wear your masks. Please, just wear your mask. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so while I was in Korea, I found out that my grandpa had some old film cameras and he gave them to me. And so now I have this Canon AE-1. So I was really excited about this. I've shot some film before, but in Korea I wasn't planning to shoot any film. But when my grandpa handed me this, you know, I knew I had to shoot some film. This is just so cool. It's in pristine condition. This lens is a 50mm f1.4, which is in really nice condition too. So my grandpa and I headed to Namdaemun Market, which is a really big market in Korea, and I've been there every time I've been to Korea. But my grandpa and I went to try to find some film, and eventually we found this Ilford Delta film. Oh, it's upside down. No, it's right side up. Okay. It was $15 whole, and I wanted to shoot a couple of rolls, but after seeing that price tag, I couldn't justify buying it at that price. Like here, I can buy a roll of film for $7, so I couldn't make myself pay twice that amount for some film. And so I ended up just buying one, and because of that, I decided to make it kind of a challenge, like a one roll in Korea challenge. So during the 4 weeks that I wasn't in quarantine, I filled up this roll, 36 images, 36 exposures. And so today we're going to develop that and see how they turned out. Alright, I'm back inside, and so before I do any developing with film, I first have to put it inside this. It's called a Patterson tank. So this is where I'm going to be putting my film in to develop it. So this is the developing reel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in complete darkness over there, this bathroom with all these lights off. So complete darkness, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this, the front part. Then I'm going to pull this all the way out, and I'm going to slot it through these spools. And once I have it on there, I'm going to just shuttle these back and forth until eventually this whole entire roll is going to be in between those grooves. So once I do that, I'm going to put it inside the tank, put the top on, lock it. This whole entire thing is going to be lightproof, so I can bring it out from the dark, and now I can start developing and put chemicals in and all that stuff. But first I'm gonna do this, so I'll be back. Alright, so I'm back from the dark. I have the film loaded up in this Patterson tank. So now we can get to actually developing the film. So developing is the first out of 3 steps in processing film. So today what I'm going to use to develop my film is actually coffee. So I've actually done this before. I did my chemistry IA for IB on using coffee to develop film. But I mixed a bunch of ingredients with coffee in order to make the developing agent. I used a recipe that's from a blog online called Caffenol, I think. And that's what it's called. That's what people like to call coffee when they're using it to develop film. So first I put 300 milliliters of water into this cup. Then I put 9 teaspoons of coffee crystals. Then 6 teaspoons of washing soda. The washing soda is basically just baking soda minus the water. And so I made that by putting baking soda on a pan and then baking it in an oven for 30 minutes at 400 degrees. And when you're putting these ingredients in, it's really important to mix really fast and really well. Otherwise, it'll become a rock and you can't use it. The last ingredient is vitamin C. So I took some tablets, vitamin C tablets that I had lying around the house. I grinded them up and then I used the powder and put it in. So for this, I needed 1.5 teaspoons of vitamin C. And so because it's a lot of work, I've already done this and mixed it all together. So now what I need to do is I need to get this at the right temperature. So this recipe calls for 20 degrees Celsius. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a bowl of hot water, and I'm going to put this thermometer in to check the temperature. Alright, so now that it's at the right temperature, I'm going to put the developer in the tank, and then for 11 minutes I'm going to shake this 3 times each minute for 11 minutes. So let's do it. Alright, so I'm done agitating this. So now what I have to do is I'm going to dump out the developer. And then I'm going to put in water. And so water is supposed to stop the process of developing. Because if the developing goes on for too much, then the film, it might just eat into the film and not properly develop anything. So like you wouldn't be able to see anything. So I have to pour this out and then put a bunch of water in it. Start shaking again to agitate. Alright, so now the last step in this is to put the fixer inside. And so now what the fixer does is it removes all the silver halides that haven't been developed, and it freezes the ones that were developed in place. So when I take it out, it should be the final image and nothing should change. So because this removes the silver halides, it's dangerous. You can't just flush it down the drain. You have to store it because the silver is dangerous. You can't put it out into the public waterways. So I'm going to, once I put this in, I'm going to dump it back into this water bottle so I can keep it in a safe place until I can properly dispose it. So yeah, here we go, last step. Okay, so I dumped out the fixer, and now this is a moment of truth. This is when I find out if the film actually developed or not. So there's a chance that I messed something up or something was wrong with my camera and all the film is just bad. So if that happens, it happens. It's okay. I took a lot of digital pictures, but I'm really hoping that this works out. It's okay. Moment of truth. Okay. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Wait, how do I take this out? Oh yeah. Dang. Okay, so I have pictures. That's good. Yay. Yes! Yes! It worked! Okay, I'm so excited. Let me see it. Let's see if you can. Okay, there we go. Look at that. Yes. It worked. Yes! Yes! Okay. So, I'm going to have to dry this overnight, and it's already 11. Oh. So, tomorrow, when this is all dry, I'll be scanning this and showing you guys the final results. But yes, I'm so excited. Yes. Alright, hey guys. So it's the next day. I'm back. I'm still really excited about how well the film turned out. I wasn't expecting this quality. So anyways, now what we're gonna do is I'm going to scan these images so I can put them on my laptop and I can edit it to a positive image. So let me show you my setup I have. It's very DIY, but so I have this camera on this tripod, and what's looking into is the film image. And so what I have here is I've put my phone under, and I just found like a white background on Google Images. So I have that on my screen, and then I have the film on top of it, and I have two of my lenses with socks underneath to keep it in place. And the socks are there so the lenses don't scratch the film or anything. But yeah, that's my setup. And so I'm going to take pictures of all 36 frames that are on this reel so I can edit them on my laptop. Alright, let's go. Hey guys, so I finished editing all the images, and let me tell you, I'm so happy with how these turned out. So let me show you a couple of images. So as you can see in this image, I really like how I was able to pull out the textures out from the film and all of this, the deep blacks, and the contrast is just really great. Here are some portraits of my mom. We explored the city of Seoul together a lot, and it was really nice, you know, right before heading off to college, not seeing the family. It was really nice to get to do something like that together with my mom. As you can see, I took a lot of pictures with family. I mean, the reason why I went to Korea in the first place is because my mom wanted to see my grandma. Here's a shot that I really like. It turned out kind of shaky because I had to use a slow shutter speed inside my grandma's dark apartment. But I mean, even though the picture isn't perfect, it's shaky, it's not clear, but it means a lot to have a picture of my grandma and I in the same frame where she's her healthy self rather than her sick self. This is a picture that I wasn't expecting. If you guys don't know, this is what's called a double exposure. So what happened is I took a picture of the Dongdaemun Design Plaza, or DDP, and then on the film camera, before you can press the shutter again, you have to wind. You have to pull this like trigger back. What that does is that advances the film onto like the next slide. But apparently it didn't here, because the next picture I took, which is of the Dongdaemun Gate, is layered right on top of the image that I had taken before. And so instead of having the two images that I want, they're overlapped on the same frame. And like that's a mistake. That's not supposed to happen, but I think it's really cool because the Dongdaemun Gate is a really old, traditional type of building, and layered on top of it is the modern, recently built, futuristic Dongdaemun Design Plaza. The symbolism there, I think, is powerful. So I've said that twice already, that the image isn't technically perfect, but I love the meaning behind it. And actually that's pretty much true of all these images. I took thousands of pictures with my digital cameras, and the technical quality of my digital images are millions of times better than this film camera that I took with me. But these 36 images, even though they're technically not as great, even though I wasn't able to take as many pictures as I probably would have wanted to, they have more meaning than the digital images that I took. And I think I'm starting to discover this more and more about film. You know, you have to really work for your images. When you take that image, you don't get that instant gratification of seeing what you just took. You have to wait for it. And you have to work more and more for your pictures than in digital. You have to load the film up on a complicated reel. You have to pour chemicals in, agitate the tank. You have to be at its side for a long time. And it's just really labor intensive compared to digital. But when you open that canister and you unload that film for the first time, not knowing if it's properly done or properly developed, by the way, seeing that your images came out nice, it's just, I think that feeling is a lot better than any feeling that you get when you're shooting digital. As you unroll that reel of film, you look at every picture and you're instantly taken back to right when you took it. When you take pictures, you forget about like what it was like when you actually took it, but when you see those images, not having remembered that for such a long time, it almost revives that memory. You know, you get to relive that moment, that experience. And on that roll, you have 36 portals into these experiences, these memories that you haven't thought about for, in my case, it was a couple weeks, almost a month. That's what made this roll of film so special to me. So I hope you guys found that somewhat interesting. I'm really tired from spending nearly 8 hours trying to develop this film, but I'm really satisfied with how it turned out. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this by dropping a like, and actually comment if you'd like to see more of this. I was actually thinking taking all of my film cameras and the Patterson tank and all of that to Chicago when I move in the fall, and periodically doing these type of videos like this roll of film from this week, or developing this roll of film from this event, or so on and so forth. So if you'd like to see more of these from my future campus life, or just like some other trips or stuff like that, yeah, leave a comment, and if there are enough people that are interested, I'll continue to make more of these pictures. And if you found what was in this video interesting, I'd encourage you to actually go and try out film for yourself. Cameras aren't that expensive. Honestly, you could probably find one from one of your relatives. They probably had a camera sitting in a closet like my grandparents did. And as you saw today, you don't need a lot of expensive stuff. You can use coffee. You can use coffee, vitamin C, baking soda, cooked in the oven to develop your film. So don't feel intimidated by film. If you've had an interest, you should go for it. It's not as bad as yeah. Now that I'm back from Korea, I have a couple of videos that I want to make during the summer. So if you guys want to see my future videos, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notifications when I do upload those videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.